talk about the sensorization of life and fitness, and how it moves beyond some simple numbers and into the wide world of things that go beyond the wrist. So I've got a couple panels. Why don't you guys come on out? We're missing Davide Vigano, but that's okay. We'll move on without him, and we're going to make fun of his products consistently and terribly. So by quick way of introduction, I wanted to say I walked 10,380 steps yesterday, and based on that, I'm wondering, who knows how much I weigh? You probably can't, because of course, my point being, of course, there's so much more than one simple number, and the vast array of sensors that we have these days has made it easy to really learn a lot more about who we are and what we are. So we have a couple people here, a couple companies that are going to help us explore that topic and discuss a little further. Why don't you guys give a quick introduction of yourselves and your companies and what you guys do.
Sure. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Glad to be here. My name is Massimo. I'm the president of Tome. In one sentence, what we do at Tome is Fitbit for office furniture. Hey, welcome. Good. So Fitbit for office furniture. Allow me to elaborate, of course. So we are Tome is a software company. We are experts in sensors, software, connectivity. We partner with a company called HumanScale. They are the leader in ergonomic solutions for the office, specifically furniture. We partnered together and we created a product called Office IQ. Office IQ is a suite of products that allow for the system to know what you're doing at your desk, what the employees are doing at their desk, and more importantly, so measure that, number one. But number two, more importantly, promote the right behavior. So tell people it's time to stand up, it's time to work a little bit standing. When you're standing too much, it's time to sit down. And pretty much promote the right behavior for a healthier lifestyle and pretty much fight the kind of the sedentary lifestyle that's killing all of us, according to the latest 10 years of data.
Great. I am Liz Josefsberg. I am a weight loss expert with about 15 years in the industry with companies from Weight Watchers to Lifetime Fitness to Misfit Wearables and beyond. I am here today with LevL, which is a breath analysis device that reads the output of a chemical in your breath to let you know if you're actually in a fat-burning state. So this is very exciting for me, who's been a part of the weight loss industry for a very long time. This is the first moment that we will actually be able to know if the food and the exercise choices that you're making are actually working. So it's that first peek inside of the body.
I love that. It's fantastic. And welcome to the panel.
Thank you. Apologizing just for being a few seconds late here with the mic.
We were going to make fun of you, too.
Of course. I thought I heard you. So the name of the company is Sensoria. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the company. The vision of the company is to make the garment the next ultra-personal computer. So we're injecting textile and non-textile sensing technology into pretty much anything that we decide to wear. We think that we already have enough of the treasure hunt for our smartphone and our wallet in the morning. Wouldn't it be nice just to wear whatever we decide to wear, shoes and T-shirts or a sports bra, and get the data that we need, accurate data, and meaningful, actionable information from those instead of yet another piece of plastic.
So that's a great launch into my first question. Whenever I talk to a fitness wearable manufacturer, I have to ask the same question. How actionable is the data that we are gathering? I mentioned the step count today. I've done 3,920. I don't find that to be particularly actionable, although it's an interesting metric. Sensorization is great. We're learning things.
Yeah, we don't think that's very actionable at all, if I can take that. That's why we created a real-time coaching experience that actually converts that data into actionable information in real time. It's like with my 5-year-old kid. If I don't tell my child what's right and what's wrong when he's doing something, and I wait until tonight, that's too late. And it's the same for my back. My back hurts at that point if I'm running wrong, right? So I have a ski boot here with our technology integrated. Like everybody said at the beginning during the Adidas conversation, just getting the accelerometer data, which you see actually streaming live, doesn't help me much. But if I get time in the air and speed in turn, or speed at the exit of the turn, it's potentially more meaningful to me. And even more meaningful if I get it in real time. Sorry.
Right, no, I just totally agree with that. I think, being with LevL and in a position where we're launching a device that no one's ever seen before and asking them to perform a behavior they've never done before and to take in data that they have no idea what that data, so parts per million of acetone in my breath, how does that help me? If we don't take the majority of what we've taken on at LevL is that we need to educate the consumer and then further be in the moment with them, the entire process to help them understand that, okay, wow, if you do that yoga class, that was great, but the spinning class really was the thing that elevated your level. So pointing those things out, teaching, and understanding that as part of this process.
And so, from our viewpoint, again, the Fitbit for furniture, we believe technology is the best when it's transparent to the consumer, and so it kind of fits into the user experience, and they don't have to think about exactly how to transfer this number in whatever it means. So for our technology, which is again very simple, Office IQ, it's very simple. So the output is sit or stand. So the data comes out as in a reminder from your computer saying, hey, you're sitting too much, how about standing for a few minutes?
Part of moving beyond simple data points and into actionable data is working together, is collaborating. I can see any one consumer having all of these products and being quite happy with that amalgamation of devices to learn some stuff. How do your products work with other people's products? Is that something we're all thinking about and concentrating on, or are we just little isolated silos?
I can speak for us for sure. The long-term vision for us is that we see LevL as this internal indicator of so many things, right? We are going to finally know how our sleep and our stress and our nutrition and our exercise, how do all of those things affect our fat burning state? And we're going to finally see that. So for us, the vision is that we're at the center, and you're wearing, your wearable, and it's telling you how many steps you get, and you're seeing, hey, well, when I do 10,000 steps, I actually do have a higher level of fat burning in a day. So then they become that they're working together in partnership to teach more.
I agree 100%. I mean, it goes without saying. The challenges were not there yet, meaning there is a lot of fragmentation, and whether maybe HealthKit, Google Fit can be the kind of place for that data to flow. The market will tell, probably. But yeah, so I think from a theoretical viewpoint, we're going in a direction we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I'd be a little controversial here. I think the challenge is still on the innovation instead of the integration. Integrating data that people don't care. I mean, to your point, after I know how many steps I take every day, whether I integrate with a bunch of other plasticky devices that give me exactly the same directionally interesting and only directionally interesting information, does that help me more? I don't think so. I mean,
well, if you had a real-time heart rate monitor at the same time that you had a step counter.
That is the point. Is actually the I love your concept of the amalgamation, right? So if you start amalgamating more data and making more sense of that data, because the human brain in real time has a challenge to actually process this level of data, and the more data feeds, the higher the challenge, right? So that is exactly right. It's the conversion into actionable information. Some people call it insights. We tend to call it wisdom, right? What we're trying to do with our running system is telling people whether they're honest with themselves, right? Am I reducing impact forces? Am I running better, or just further and faster? And therefore, very much like the other 70% of us, we're all getting injured again this year, right? So 70% of all runners in this country get injured every single year. It's one of the most dangerous activities in the world, if you think about it. As stupid as it is, there is no correlation between expensive shoes, cheap shoes. I have no idea, right? To me, that's valuable. Not going to a doctor and saying my knee hurts, or getting a hip replacement, or my ankle hurts, plantar fasciitis. That, selfishly, as an aging baby boomer, that's more interesting to me.
Is it making data actionable, or is it context? Is it having data at the right time, or is it getting actionable information out of data, or maybe a little bit of both?
I think it's both.
Yeah, it's definitely both. So my specialty is behavior modification through technology, and I really believe that technology can answer a lot of this and help people change their behavior using that real-time information, right? Can we use a GPS that says, hey, you're in Chipotle right now, we know this. Here, if you made this choice, it would be better for you than that choice.
You're probably better off leaving Chipotle.
Maybe a bad example. But right, so can we teach them in the moment to change behaviors and help them learn those things over time? That would be the true goal.
So one of the big considerations, we were toying around with this when we spoke a little while back, how much of this data, which is all very personal data, although it's weirdly personal data, I would say, your information about your feet. I mean, this is not information that I was worried the government was going to get its hands on. But if it's information about my health, all of a sudden it becomes very personal information.
Yeah.
How much of this do we share? This is one of the big questions
Even I would argue that privacy is a concern, even in our space. Let me give you an example. People that suffer from multiple sclerosis, there are only two ways to detect the onset of different stages of the disease. One is ophthalmology, which is eyesight. The second thing is how quickly, how fast, how correctly they move during the day from one day to another. So there are privacy concerns even in gait, which is the science of human locomotion. The way we solve it, and solve is a big and challenging word here, but we put the consumer before he or she becomes a patient at the center. If myself as a consumer decides to share this information with my doctor, with my caregiver, with my wife, with my coach, with a physical therapist, and even with my employer or my insurance at some point, that's up to me, right? So I think that's the only way we have found in our platform approach to basically protect privacy. It's a very personal, individual approach. I'm sure there is more.
We have our privacy policy is called "Don't Be Creepy," very technical name, and specifically it talks about that. Like your data is your data, you have access to it. However, the employer will be able to see only anonymized and aggregated data. And we had a couple of companies actually that one specifically that was working on a call center, and they were like, "Oh, we like your technology. This is a sensor that goes under the table and measures if you're there and what you're doing. Can we use it to kind of make sure people are at the desk and making calls and whatever?" And we said, no. I mean, that's like a clear violation of the "Don't Be Creepy" policy.
Don't be creepy, yeah.
That's a good one.
Very technical.
But to play devil's advocate, interesting, quick aside, I was talking to some people in the car tech space a little while back about the potential for self-driving vehicles, which could arguably save the 35,000 lives a year that are in the US from car crashes. This person was arguing that car manufacturers have an obligation to do this because we could save these lives, a moral obligation. Interesting, right? This is personal information. Maybe we shouldn't share it with our employers. Maybe our employers do have a moral obligation to roll out things that can help monitor our health, which we might not do. What do you think? Am I being crazy?
No, I think like so. Actually, today we're announcing a test with a lead health plan from the West, Washington State. It's called Premier, part of the Blue Shield family. And specifically what they're interested in is exactly that. So the longer term picture is to understand in aggregated data, if I am a big company, I have 30,000 people and I have people being active, on average, will I be able to have a lower premium and spend less money on healthcare long term? And I think we are at the beginning of that change. 10 years from now, might be to the point that it becomes almost a liability for a company not to do that, as in now, it's like I don't know, don't tell people not to smoke, and then you're liable for that, something like that. Bad example.
Is there a line, though? You guys are monitoring some very personal information, arguably learning about our health that we would not know about our health. Is that crossing the line? Is there a
well,
line?
and I'm in the same boat with you. It's like it has to be up to the individual to make that choice to share that information. The two things that I keep thinking about that I feel very passionately about is that I've built corporate weight loss programs. I've run corporate weight loss programs and watched the shift over the last 15 years into corporate weight loss and the drive towards getting employees healthier. Two things for me is that when you're given that opt-in, what I see often is that, right, there are 4 screens of minuscule writing for them, and they scroll through it and they click the button and they have no idea that they've just shared. So I'd love to see that come down to a place where it's communicated exactly what it is to that end consumer, what it is that they're doing, because I don't believe that they are being given a fair shot at it. And then just, really being able to monitor also the people, right? So if we take in this data and then we integrate with another partner, is our partner that we've integrated with on the same page with us? So that's not being shared out. Scary stuff.
Scary stuff. I don't necessarily want my company watching, but I do want my company helping me to be a healthier person. And so,
well, we spend more of our lives at work than we do at home now. So I feel that's the shift. I mean, if we were, now both partners are working, we're there in the workplace. This is why we're seeing such an influx of weight loss programs into the corporate space, is that if you can't control your weight in the workplace, that's where you're spending all your time. Your behaviors there need to be tight, right? So by the time you get home, if you're just doing it at home, you're in trouble. So yeah, we're there more than we are at home.
Is there a role for Sensoria in the business, or is it just a personal
No, we've made the commitment early on that we're not going to sell the data, period. We're going to sell socks, we're going to sell t-shirts, we're going to be fine selling electronics and garments and providing both brands and consumers with meaningful and actionable information. All right? If I sit at a brand, think about a ski boot manufacturer, just because we have one here that we have instrumented. Every year, right, my boss comes to me and says, create a new collection of ski boots. And my data is limited to the data that I have from last year, which is probably what they call lab rats, right? 6 people that come to the lab and tell me with feedback forms what I feel, what I think about that ski boot, comfort, performance, and so forth. Wouldn't it be fantastic for all of us, selfishly again, as consumers, for these brands to actually understand the performance of their products, IoT enabling these products, providing the information to the brand? It's not, in most cases, controversial information, the way I ski, right? And if I feel comfortable or not with this ski boot. So that next year, when I buy yet another $600 pair of ski boots, those actually fit better. I don't feel cold and I ski better with them, right? So I think the advantages kind of very often dwarf the concerns and disadvantages. But you're right, I mean, privacy is a concern, and that's why we made a commitment not to sell the data.
How do you guys feel about sharing data with physicians? It seems like the ultimate thing that we should be doing with all this, and right now I don't feel like it's happening very often.
We call it, in our architecture, we have a logical model that we call trusted advisor. So you as a consumer decide who your trusted advisor of the moment is. And you can actually have the trusted advisor du jour, or you can have the trusted advisor for your life, right? You decide to share a part of the information, all the information at the granular level, or the whole thing with whoever you decide to share it with, depending on what you want to achieve. So it could be, again, a coach, personal trainer, a friend, a family member. You're right, at some point it can become a physical therapist, it can become a caregiver, it can become a clinician as well.
What do you think, Massimo?
I mean, it goes back to what we said earlier, which is like, is the consumer, me, Massimo, should be in charge of my data. So if I want to share with anybody, trusted advisor, that's so be it, so absolutely. But it can't be taken away from me without my permission, unless in aggregated form, again, as I said earlier, so that I cannot be, it must be anonymous, so it cannot be traced to me, Massimo.
I guess the ultimate question we have to ask is how quantified do we want to be? How much of this, how much data are we looking for, and is there a point where we've got too much? Are we looking too much to sensors and not thinking so much about ourselves? When I talk about the number of steps that I've taken during a day, I hate to come back to that, but it's just such a visceral thing to me. I feel like I personally just kind of know if I'm walking enough. Are we over-relying on sensors, or are we learning more every day?
I think you're right. In some cases, the quantified self movement has kind of gone overboard. On a number of steps is a perfect example. We talked about many different other scenarios and opportunities here where the actionable information and the quantified self data is about data that we've never been collecting before. The examples that we shared during this conversation, sedentarism, which is what Massimo was talking about, has never been collected really truly before. Gait has never been truly collected before. And I would argue that these sets of data have research value more than consumer value. I can tell you, every
totally
week,
argue with that.
yeah, every week we have an academic institution coming to us saying, can we please get access to your consumer products, because we have no idea how a Parkinson's or an Alzheimer patient walks. Really, we don't, right? Every single research study that I read ends with, this is non-conclusive research. The sample size is too small, right? Selfishly, I think that is, as an aging baby boomer, I want the researchers to have that data. I want better drugs and better treatment in the market, right? So.
And I'm feeling like so this new data and this new input is only just equaling the playing field for people, right? So that those 10,000 steps, or the sedentary lifestyles, or the food sources, and all of these things that have led to our population, 60 or more % of them being overweight or obese, they don't know why they are. So if we can finally turn the tables and say, because you're sitting, because you're not moving at work, because you're eating the wrong foods, and we can illuminate why they are where they are with this data, then we've actually changed the world.
That's the ideal.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. levels in the.
I mean, we are the optimists, Jeremy, right? We have an optimist panel here. So.
Very.
That's the whole point. Tech should help us. Technology should be useful. I think we have time for a few questions, right? We have some lively and fascinating conversation going on here. Please feel free to join us if you have any questions out there.
Hi, how are you? This is a question for the panel, but maybe more specifically for Liz. I think earlier you gave an example of finally giving people the insight about, let's say, what works for them best. Is it yoga or is it running? But what about if I enjoy yoga more than running, and I'm more likely to go to yoga, even though technically speaking it reaps fewer quantitative results? My question is, how do you define actionable information? How do you set those parameters and decide what's actionable for me?
Right, well, and I think that would be the thing, is that we wouldn't want to define what's right for you, but at least give you that information and then let you make that decision. So, and then be able to formulate and create that program that gives you the best of all possible worlds. So maybe you decide, you know what, I'm going to continue doing yoga, but I'm going to add one spin class to take myself into that place. So it finally gives you sort of that place to make that informed decision. I think that's really where we're headed.
I think that's a great question. I think we don't, right? So yoga is a perfect example of a very complex biomechanical type of challenge there. Are you doing it right? Are you doing it wrong? And so we're trying to build a platform that allows people that actually provide you with equipment for yoga, as an example, to give you some actionable information. So we have announced here at CES the Sensoria Core, which I'm holding here. Is this tiny little device, which at some point will disappear to the human eye, right? It could be in a yoga mat. It is now in shoes. It is going to be in soccer boots. It's going to be in ski boots. It's connected to multiple external sensors. It's not just yet another 3-axis accelerometer, right? So we can connect humidity sensors, pressure sensors, light sensor, pollution sensors to it, so that each manufacturer of each one of these brands of products can IoT-enable their products and provide, hopefully, more actionable information to you in real time while you exercise, while you do yoga, or while you play soccer, or while you ski. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, we're all, as Stacy Burns said before, we're fairly ignorant about how we perform. Whether we run, whether we play soccer, whether we ski, we truly don't know. It's like golf, right? We go to a pro, they tell us what the swing is, and we kind of get it, right? And then you go and play the next 18 holes, and you tend to gravitate back to your older habit all the time. We need something that actually keeps us honest and continue. It's like constant training and reinforcement, right? Yeah. So that's where we're shooting for.
Great, we got time for one more. 2 more.
Hi. This is just a great discussion here. This is my first time at the event, and I'll just say this is my first day at the event, or first half a day, so I'm overwhelmed.
Welcome.
Wow, and I come from the healthcare sector, so what we're trying to figure out is how does all of this information, sort of tie into the electronic medical record? How can we use it for research and changing, like you said, changing behaviors and all these kind of things? So on the way out here, I read an article that said there's 165,000 healthcare apps for mobile devices. And just in this morning that I've been here, I mean, I've heard countless stories of everything that's going to have sensors or has sensors. Do you see this being like, I kind of think of the old days when we had a flashlight, we had a camera, we had a phone, we had all these things now are kind of consolidated into a cell phone. Do you see your companies getting together at some point and consolidating these apps into, okay, so here's a sensor that will do all of these things? I'm being a little facetious there, but I'll give you one example. I think each of you had mentioned you can monitor movements, whether it's sleep or all these kind of things, and I heard a bunch this morning. So am I going to be having 5 sensors that all monitor my sleep and my activity, or do you think there'll be consolidation, and how long do you think it'll take for that to happen?
Good question.
Yeah, I can jump in and I have to say that I heard this from somebody last night at an event, and so I can't take credit for it, but what he said, and I wish I could remember his name, is that we're moving from wearables to forgettables. So I think when you think about all these sensors, what we're seeing happen this year is that we're going to a place where perhaps the sleep sensor is now under your sheet. You forget it's completely there. You just climb in bed at night. You don't wear it on your wrist. You breathe into this device in the morning, the LevL. You don't have to take it with you. You don't have to think about it. You just do it. And so I do see consolidation, or not consolidation in that way. I just see a movement towards the fact that this stuff becomes a part of you and that you're not thinking about it so much. And I don't know. You guys would have to answer the consolidation question.
I think the answer to the question is yes, will be consolidated. The timing, I have no idea.
Yeah.
If I did, I'd be way smarter. But back to what Liz was mentioning is integrating the consumer. My mom would never go online and download the kind of, how many steps I've done. She won't do it, that's it. But she has a lifestyle, she does what she does. And if in her lifestyle, user experience, we could, at the right time, give her the right ping to do the right thing, she would. She's a smart lady.
Yeah, we call it transparent computing. And that's the goal, is basically to remove the compliance. Even in healthcare, one of the major challenges is compliance, medical devices. My dad needs to wear a Holter device. He hates that. It's a stigma. He wears it for 24 hours, only the time that the doctor tells him, you have to wear this thing, right? Wouldn't it be cool to actually have constant data streaming with something that he wants to wear because it's cool, it's comfortable, it's transparent, and then we can actually ignite a different wave of innovation, even on traditional data sets like heart rate and ECG and EKG. But like I said before, there is a fantastic opportunity to integrate and amalgamate, as Jeremy said, new data sets like gait with heart rate and get much better calorie counts, as an example, because at that point, I get very, very precise information, even for people recovering from surgery, as an example. They all use a walker. If they all wear a wrist-based accelerometer device, I get nothing. Accuracy of the data, I heard the question before, that's zero there. It's absolutely irrelevant data, right? So absolutely, there will be fragmentation. There is always very often fragmentation at the beginning, and there will be consolidation at some point.
Thank you. We have one more question. Just very briefly, thank you for your panel. It was very interesting. I had a question for you about the privacy piece. You mentioned third-party contractors and also partners, data partners. So one of the big questions that we have to deal with a lot is people re-identifying aggregate data sets, because it's actually really easy to do with census data. You take the aggregated, supposedly anonymous data set, overlay it with census data, and all of a sudden your partner has identified your clients. So we have to solve this problem, and I'm just very curious as to any ideas or if this is something that's on your radar. Thank you so much.
Everybody gets a one-word answer.
Yeah, I'll just say it's definitely on our radar, and it's the wild, wild west out there right now.
Yes.
What
Agreed.
I'm going to go with
Thank
maybe.
you. Thank you so much. Can we get a round of applause for our panelists and for Jeremy?